Comparison brainrot hits a lot of traders without them even really realizing it. And it's about how social media rewires your brain and basically destroys your trading psychology, everything you know about trading, or yeah, I guess anything like that in general. It's just the constant scrolling on, Twitter or Discord or Instagram and having that constant exposure to people winning without you actually seeing what is happening behind the scenes in their own journey, which is why I'm not necessarily against people that want to go and start a personal brand on trading. There's a bit of a fine line between what I enjoy seeing and what I don't enjoy seeing. What I like seeing on social media is people having a go, right? Having a crack at trading because it's really fucking hard to gain any kind of momentum and to see people on that learning kind of stage where they're still learning, but they're going through the motion, right? Going through all the ups and downs, and they're actually very transparent with it. That's totally okay. But it can also damage them, which I might talk about at a later stage. But the problem is your brain will get dopamine from seeing other people's results, which is a problem because that dopamine has nothing to do with your trading. And now your brain kind of gets rewired to associate good trading with big numbers. This is the dopamine hijack that I'm trying to talk about. What the fuck is my pen? I don't have a pen. I can't circle anything. But anyway. So our brain rewires itself to associate good trading with these big numbers, with, you know, I was going to say 10k a month, but realistically, to be quite honest, 10k a month it's an achievement, but like, it's the bare minimum, really. If you're in Australia, it's 120 grand a year. That's a good wage, but these days, does it really get you that far, to be honest? I mean, especially in this country. But that's besides the point. So I remember even when I was starting, I speak about it a lot, but I made it was around 11k Australian dollars in my first. It was like 2 or 3 months in. I'm pretty sure it was 3 months into trading, full stop, and I got to a point where I was like, holy shit, I made it. And then after that, when I started to take heaps of losses, I lost that funded account. I was in drawdown for ages. I jumped onto a personal account and I lowered my risk on funded accounts, and I'm looking at profits of like over $1,000, thinking, this is nothing. This is nothing compared to that 10k. This is nothing to what I was accustomed to at that point. And I trained my reward system to need unrealistic numbers, basically. So I was constantly chasing 10k, 15k, 20k months. And I'd been trading for 2 months. And I thought I was a fucking expert and thought I knew everything. Thought that the way I traded was the best way to trade, hands down. But I was very naive and just very dumb, to be honest. Just not, yeah, just dumb. That's the only that's the only way to put it. So now you get this unrealistic baseline of what you see success in trading. You start seeing massive days and they start to feel normal. And, you know, especially when you're scrolling on social media and seeing other people winning, there's a, you have like a selection bias, basically. With the amount of traders that there are on social media these days, there's, you know, majority of traders will have an average day, or they won't trade at all. But then there's the odd few traders that'll post, you know, I made 20k today, I made 30k today. You're seeing like the top 0.5% of all traders' combined results. And now your brain is thinking that that's the baseline. The baseline is 10k a month. The baseline is 20k days. Like all that shit. And now this thinking this kind of, when you think this is the baseline now, that's what consistent profitable trading, that's, so when you're being consistently profitable, say you're making like, I don't know, $200 or $300 a day, let's just say that, on average. That's a normal wage. A good wage, right? It feels like failure because you're not hitting those 10, 15k days, 5k, even like 5k in a week. Like you're not hitting that and it feels like you're not up to standard with everyone else. But realistically, on social media, you're seeing, you know, the top 0.5% of combined results or whatever it is. Your brain automatically thinks that that's the baseline, which is terrible for your brain because you're comparing your everyday to some people's best day. And it's like watching, you know, someone, like it's just like it's as simple as watching someone's highlights without seeing everything they've gone through to get to that point, which is, takes a toll, right? Takes a toll on your mental, your trading, everything. So now you kind of go on this performance treadmill, is what I'll call it. And now you're just chasing numbers for dopamine, not for strategy, not for freedom, not for anything, but for the sheer sake of dopamine. And now you'll oversize positions and force trades, hold things too long, think you're an expert like I used to think. And now you're just constantly trying to chase these significant numbers. Now, even when you had hit a big day, it doesn't satisfy you because you're going to go on Instagram, you're going to go on Twitter, you're going to go on Discord, you're going to start scrolling away, and someone's just done 10 times better than you. Like, you've hit a 10k day and you're fucking cheering, and the next person's hit 100k. And you're like, oh, what the fuck? Where's my one? You know, it's just a constant, it's a constant chase. And there's always going to be someone doing better than you, numbers wise. Or so they say. For some people, you know. So, you know, this goalpost that you have, this goal that you're chasing just keeps moving further and further away because you're looking at other people and you're not getting dopamine from what you're actually doing and what you're actually achieving, is basically what I'm trying to say. So it kind of gets to a point where you can never win and there's always going to be someone bigger. And over time, this will just destroy whatever edge you have because you're constantly seeking validation and dopamine from that validation. That's all you're trying to chase. And over time, you will destroy your edge because you are trying to chase more. And your edge is your edge, and most people will stick to it. some people that want to chase this, more dopamine will go off track a bit, essentially. Which is what brings in the identity erosion. And it destroys your sense of self as a trader, and you stop trusting your own feedback loop. Which sucks because you are basically just going to be stuck in this cycle and the performance treadmill, and it'll just keep going down and down and down because you see yourself as someone that's falling behind or failing or not living up to what you thought you could have been, and it will just destroy you mentally. That's it. You'll lose connection to your journey and the actual progress that you're making and the wins that you're actually making, the small wins. Consistency compounds, and you will just lose like all sense of any of this because you're just scrolling and you're just looking at shit. You're looking at people winning all the time. You might have taken a loss that day. You might have lost like $1,000, and you're like, oh fuck it, time to wind down. You're gonna go on Instagram. You're gonna scroll a little bit. Oh shit, this bloke's up 15k today. I feel like shit now. And so it's a constant cycle of you trying to just chase that dopamine, and that's all it is. It's just a dopamine loop. And now everything will become relative to external comparison, and trading will only have value if it's impressive to others. So you're outsourcing your accomplishment to an audience that just doesn't care, in a way. And most people won't realize this is happening because I've said it before, anyone can make money, but not everyone can keep it. So I've seen people go and make stupid amounts of money, and then you talk to them a few months later and they're like, yeah, I lost it all, or they're struggling, or they need help. And that's not to shit on them because it is difficult. They just let that chase get to them in a way, and they didn't stay level. So I don't know. Most traders will end up feeling shit when they're in the green, when they're profitable, and no one will feel satisfied, no matter what, because it's just constant. Like social media is just constantly trying to, I don't know, it just sucks the life out of you. That's all it does, and that's what I'll talk about in a second in the detox part. But most people here just won't feel satisfied because there's always going to be bigger fish to fry, and you're going to end up thinking that you're the problem, that you're not disciplined enough, that you're just broken, right? But the reality is that your brain is just poisoned by curated highlight reels of influencers that might not even be making that much money. Let's just say that. Because, some cunts out there are just, with the shit I see on Instagram and on Twitter and shit, you got people giving terrible advice on trading, and you can spot someone who fakes their shit pretty easily. So, how to actually detox and your way out of this comparison loop, brain rot, fucking dopamine loop. Simply just stop consuming other people's results. This might be difficult if you are in a group. If you're actively like learning in a Discord or something, and you want to be there for people that are succeeding. That's but it can get to a point where it is too much and it feels like you're not doing anything. That's when you need to back yourself and not just cut back on this shit, but stop completely. So that, I mean, mute, unfollow, leave. Anywhere that promotes like showing your profit and loss, leave that shit. Because it's just gonna fuck you up. And your brain needs to kind of reset and recalibrate to your reality and what you're actually doing. You're not gonna learn from people's screenshots of their 10k months or 10k days or 20k a month, 100k, whatever it is. You're not going to learn from that screenshot. You're just going to damage yourself because you want to start chasing shit. Now, you need to create your own feedback metrics. And that's not profit and loss comparison, that's a process metric. Did you follow your rules? Did you manage your risk? Did you learn something today? Get dopamine based on your wins, your day-to-day wins, whether it's following a plan, like the most simple shit, based on your standards, and retrain that reward system that you have around what you control yourself. You can't control what the next influencer's gonna make or post or whatever, but you can control your system, your plan, your risk management, like your day-to-day trading. That's what you can control. You can't control the market, obviously, but keep things to what you can control, and then that will retrain your reward system. And you need to understand successful traders work in kind of a vacuum, basically. I think that's the only way I can really describe it. They weren't constantly comparing to others. They're focused on their own improvement, their edge, and their own journey. And posting wins is usually a bit of a red flag, I say, to some. Because real traders do not post shit. Like, they don't post their daily P&L. They don't gain anything from posting it either. They don't need validation. They've got money. They don't give a shit. And it's, you're more than likely going to be comparing yourself to the wrong people for the most part on social media, I say. There are some good ones out there, to be honest, but just don't compare yourself to the wrong people. Or to anyone, for that matter.